Welcome and good day. Yeah. Maybe I should start over. Oh, screw it. All right. Good day and welcome to Predators Proclivity. Da, 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 da. Yes, I keep thinking I need to come up with theme music. I will eventually. I'm trying to figure out what the right mood should be. Should it be sulky? Last year, it should have been sulky. All right, but let's move on. Okay, so Predators Proclivity, where we look at data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments on it. Okay, so I guess we're done because the season, we've got a new season. That's right, tonight, the Columbus Blue Jackets come to Nashville. That's right, they are in Nashville to start the season. Very excited that we finally get to go here. And neither of these teams are in a back-to-back situation. You would think that the beginning of the season, you wouldn't have to have a back-to-back to start things off. That probably did last season. I just didn't notice. But the LA Kings have already played 2 games. It's the third day. This NHL season started on Tuesday. It's Thursday. And the LA Kings have already played 2 games. It's a schedule. It is a schedule. That's what they do. They schedule games. And so it's a schedule. All right. Well, I'm your host. Kind of all over the place this today. Didn't get the intro right. Had a lot of technical issues to deal with here in the studio to get started. But here we are. Yes, I am your host, Preston Proctor. This is Predators Proclivity. And this is the 101st episode. I missed that. This is season 3 of Predators Proclivity. This is episode 2. So season 3, episode 1 was the 100th episode for Predators Proclivity. This is the 101st. Shout out to the 101st Airborne, 101st episode for Predators Proclivity. And so kind of a milestone. I like to try to remember that, but you get so busy with everything, looking at data and going to training camp and trying to look at what the potential future is for the Preds, and you forget little things about the podcast. So 101. Well, like I said, today is the start of the season for the Nashville Predators. And it did start on Tuesday. So let's get to it. Don't have a lot of data to talk about, but sure. I'm getting a sign from my producer. We're only 3 minutes in, but they want to take a quick break. I guess at least if I start taking breaks, then at least the ads that get thrown in will show up in the right places, hopefully. Okay. Speaking of ads, I've had an opportunity to endorse or push some products, and I'm trying to find something that's hockey-related, Nashville-related, but haven't done that yet. And the only reason to do that would be if, something that was pertinent to the show, and they had a decent discount for my fans or at least listeners. And I haven't gotten that yet. But definitely, looking at that, anything to kind of, pay for the programming here. But I haven't done any of that yet. But I have turned a number of things down because I didn't think they make sense. Oh, and also the other problem is anything that I endorse, I want to have at least tried and actually like the products, and not just, do it because they pay me money. So hopefully all that works out. But haven't worked out yet. We don't have theme music, and we're 4.5 minutes in and haven't talked about the Predators yet. What do you know? Okay, so I want to talk about the training camp. I went to a few days of training camp. After they had the back-to-back games, they started practicing at a different arena, and I tried to find out what the schedule was, and it was not publicly available as far as I could tell. And so I wasn't able to make it to training camp. The training camp last week, I did do some reading about it. But it's different reading what somebody has to say versus being there. But anyway, as far as how I think it went, as far as my evaluation of players is what I'm talking about. But anyway, the Preds have 15 on the roster. They've got 15 forwards. They've got 8 defensemen and 2 goaltenders. So that's 25 total. The Preds are required to only have 23 on the roster, but 2 of those players are on injured reserve. So that's kind of where the team is. The 15 forwards do include Evangelista, who is supposed to be available. It says that he's reading that he had to go through customs and he wasn't technically on the roster, but he would be on the roster for tonight. I'm totally expecting him to be there. Whatever the protocol is, however they have to do these things, I'm not fully aware of, but sometimes it seems a little weird. Anyhow, when it came to picking the forwards, or picking the players that I thought would make the team, the first 10 forwards, the first 5 defensemen, and the goalies were easy because they're the highest paid people. And actually, Anunen, what he's being paid is right there what Krona and Murray are being paid. They're all roughly about the same, but you could figure Anunen was going to be with the team because he was with the team. So, that was pretty easy. The top 10 forwards, the top 5 defensemen, all of that was pretty easy. So as far as that goes, so that's 10 forwards. They got 15. The next 4 were all in my top 20. Yost, get that right? Yost was a late training camp ad, so I can't fault myself for that. So I think I did pretty good. I do have to say that I really was looking forward to Lucchini and O'Hara making the team, but they didn't. But they may be one of the first call-ups, except for whoever they have to send down once Wood comes off injured reserve in a couple of weeks. He was day-to-day, according to I guess they call them beat reporters. I don't know. According to the reporter for the Preds, Wood was actually week-to-week, not day-to-day, which is an important distinction because day-to-day you kind of expect he might show up. Week-to-week you don't really. And Haig is also injured week-to-week. I guess about another 3 to 4 weeks at this point in time before we see him. Wood, it's hard to say because he is on the sites. He's all day-to-day, but week-to-week, so who knows what'll happen there. But so whoever they send down, and I think whoever they send down, and they will need to send somebody down once Wood and Haig come off injured reserve. Given that's a couple of weeks, it could be play. The play of players may not may affect or should affect who gets sent down. My guess is when Wood and Haig come off, that forward Kamel and defenseman Stastny will go to Milwaukee. But anyway, so as far as the forwards go, I was pretty good. The 4 forwards that weren't in the top 10 were all in my top 20. I did like Lucchini and O'Hara. And then as far as the next 3 defensemen, they were all in my top 13. So I feel pretty good about that. Again, another guy I was really hoping to make the team was Ufko. I really was excited about him. I had him at my number 6. Wilsby was number 7. Obviously, Wilsby has played really well. With Haig out, they did need to keep somebody else around. And, maybe it's better for Lucchini, O'Hara, and Ufko to go down to Milwaukee. Milwaukee is Milwaukee's training camp. Milwaukee's in training camp started after the Preds training camp kind of finished. There was a little bit of overlap. Milwaukee starts their regular season on October 11th. So maybe it's better that the players are down there because they get to play a little bit more often. They'll play a little bit more on the top lines. So, that way they can hone their game a little bit more. But yeah, Ufko didn't make the team. Like I said, he was my number 6 guy. So, yeah. Let's take a... I'm going to be a little over-aggressive maybe about taking breaks, but let's take a quick break here. Okay. As far as the Milwaukee Admirals training camp, I had to kind of keep up with this. Nashville did wind up assigning 28 players to Milwaukee. As far as I can tell, none of the players that were in Milwaukee training camp that did not attend Nashville training camp are making the team. So there's 2 players that I haven't tracked, haven't been able to quite see what the Milwaukee training camp roster is. The information's not as available as it is for Nashville for some reason. So they've got 24 now. They released 7. Was what the announcement was. They went from they had 6. Nashville sent 19 down, so that went to 25. Then they sent another 5, took them to 30. Sent another down to 31. Sent down 2 more, which wound up at 33. And then the last thing I saw was they had released 7, which got them to 24, which means there's 2 players that got released somewhere, and I'm not sure who. Heider, the goaltenders Heider and Septim Helter were assigned to Milwaukee, and they have since been assigned to the Atlanta Gladiators. I'm assuming the 2 players all the other 2 players that aren't with Milwaukee anymore are also assigned to the Atlanta Gladiators, but maybe they are, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I'm trying to keep track of some of that stuff because having watched these guys in training camp, I'm really kind of curious to see how they perform. I thought Heider and Septim Helter, I might be saying that right. I don't know. I think he's first year out of college, and Heider, another young goaltender. So I thought they played really well. I liked Krona. I liked Murray. So it'd be interesting to see them. Obviously, I'm interested in Lucchini and O'Hara and how they're going to do and how they're going to develop. So I'm trying to stay in touch with all of that stuff, and we'll report back here as I feel like it, as appropriate. But pretty much as I feel like it. I get a little too extemporaneous sometimes, but hey, I'm just a guy sitting here in a recording area. I do call it my studio, but it's hard to call this a studio. Anyway. So the Milwaukee players, the Milwaukee regular season starts on the 11th. Training camp for Atlanta started on the 4th. So their training camp kind of runs, overlaps a little bit with Milwaukee, but when Milwaukee's training camp will end and Atlanta will continue, and then they'll start their season. So it's kind of fun to watch all that. I mean, it's it's new for me. I really haven't paid that much attention to the minor league teams. I did go to I wound up going to an Atlanta Gladiators game last year. My brother lives in Charleston and was going to visit him, and the Stingrays were playing, and they just happened to be playing Atlanta. So, we took our Nashville gear and we went down there and we pulled for Atlanta, intending to pull for the Stingrays. Love that nickname. Anyhow. That's your training camp update. All right. So, again, don't have too many games, but I have some comments on the schedule. The back-to-back situations were not good for Nashville last year. Some teams play well in the back-to-back. It's hard to fault the back-to-back situations for Nashville last year because, what last year, what wasn't something that that indicated a loss? I mean, you're looking for something that indicated a win or something positive. The not giving up a power play goal, in the first period, home or away, until late in the season. That was very big positive. The power play for the Preds in the first period was exceptional last year. So, last year we're kind of looking for good news. And, and we kind of found it in places. But in general, as far as the overall season went, it's hard to blame back-to-backs. But this year they only have 13. They had 14 last year. None of them involved crossing a border. One did last year. So you play, the front half in one country and the back half in another country. And I'm sure, when it comes to professional sports, that their crossing the border is easier than our crossing the border, but there's still an additional cost, right? The time and effort for somebody. And time, definitely, it's gonna cause them more time. So it's a little bit of an imposition, especially in a back-to-back situation when you don't necessarily have that much time to begin with. Of those 13 back-to-back games, four of them are both on the road. So, a third are both on the road. The first one is next week, by the way. We get our first back-to-back situation early. Ottawa and Toronto. We play Columbus tonight. We play Utah on Saturday, both at home. And then we go on the road for 4 games. And we play Canadian teams for 4 days, but we got a back-to-back. We play Ottawa on Monday and Toronto on Tuesday. Then we go to Montreal and then Winnipeg. But, next week we start our first back-to-back. Of those 13 back-to-back, 3 both games are at home. We only had one last year where the back-to-back was home. Last year, 9 of them were both away. This year, only 4. So 4 both are away, 3 both are home, and then 6 is where travel is required. 5 of those, Nashville is at home on the front, and then 1 on the back. Last year, they only had 4. Had 4 where they were home and away, and 2 each where they were at home, 2 each where they were home on the front, 2 where they're home on the back. So, as far as that goes, if there's not a lot of travel, involved, then it doesn't really bother me, personally, that much. But again, you can the back-to-backs when you're playing, say the Rangers and then the Islanders, not, is that really travel? But what do we have? Oh, this is a border crossing. Which year is this? This is, I got that wrong. There is a border crossing. Dun, da, da, da. We play Chicago one night, and then we play Winnipeg the next. So Chicago we play. Oh no, Winnipeg is at home. That's why it's not a border crossing. Never mind. I was right the first time. Should have believed in myself. We play Chicago, in Chicago, and then we come to Nashville to play Winnipeg. We play Minnesota at home, and then we go to Washington. We play Detroit at home, and then we go to Columbus. And we play Vegas at home. Then we go to Chicago. So Chicago, we play twice in back-to-back situations, one on the front, one on the back. I thought it was Toronto. Is it Los Angeles? We play in back-to-back situations twice. Vegas, we play 3 times. We play Vegas 3 times in back-to-back situations. We play Vegas. We play at Vegas and then at Seattle, and then we'll play at Colorado and at Vegas, and then we play Vegas here and then go to Chicago. So we play Vegas in 3 back-to-back situations, twice on the front end, once on the back end. And then another home and away, we play Montreal here, and then we go to Tampa Bay. So the travel is not onerous. It seems like in these home and away situations, or the away and home situation. Chicago, Winnipeg. But yeah, so we'll play. Oh, Chicago, we play 3 times. Chicago, we play 3 times in back-to-back situations. LA and Minnesota twice. Toronto twice. Washington twice. And Vegas 3 times. So Chicago and Vegas will meet 3 times in back-to-back situations. And, we'll see over time how the teams respond to that. LA has played 2 games. They were in a home and travel situation and their games, and I believe they lost at home. Just checking on this real quick. They lost at home to the Avalanche and then won in Vegas. And so they were in LA and then they went to Vegas, which not huge travel. Oh yeah, LA won in a shootout. Got beat up by Colorado. But their back-to-back situation. They lost at home, lost on the front end, won on the back end. But I'll keep track of when we get to the back-to-back situations, and if we're playing a team that's in the back-to-back situations, I also have been evaluating that and seeing how they do in those situations and talking a lot about that, just like I did last year. This year, I'm a little bit more proactive about it because I know I started doing it last year, and so I'm already prepared. Oh, what am I going to come up with this year? Oh, who knows? Right. So normally I would talk about a transaction watch, but hey, it's the beginning of the season. We've already had a lot of transactions, so there's nothing new right now. So there's nothing on the transaction watch. So let's go right into tonight's opponent. Tonight, the Columbus Blue Jackets come here to Nashville. The first of 2 games versus Columbus, the only game in Nashville. It is also Columbus's first game of the season. Last year, these teams split the 2 games that they played, with the home team winning both. The Preds won early in the season, 4-3 in overtime in October. That, if I remember right, that was, I guess I get to that later, but it was the last of 3 in a row that they won after the 5 in a row that they lost. And then they lost in April 4-8 in Columbus. At that point in time of the season, Columbus was trying to make the playoffs and the Preds were trying to make their tea times. Last year, Columbus was 4th in the Metro Division and missed out on making the playoffs by 2 points. They were 2 points behind the second wildcard team, Montreal. So they finished, and they finished strong last year. What did they? I think they won their last 6 games in a row. I've got this information somewhere, but apparently not where I'm thinking about it now. Anyhow, so the interesting thing about Columbus is that they have the second most cap space available. They have $14.2 million in cap space. The Preds, excuse me, the Preds are at, I think they were at 6, and somehow I think they jumped to being about 5.5. But they are, when it comes to cap space, they are quite a way down the list. What is this? Eichel just signed a $13.5 million. Jack Eichel just signed a contract extension with Vegas. Okay, so I don't care about that. But it just popped up on the screen here. Yeah, when you're looking at cap space here, the Predators are quite a way down. Whoa, they've got, okay, I guess something changed, and they were about $10,000 less cap space than the Blackhawks, but the Blackhawks must have done something because they only have $13 million now of cap space, and so the Blue Jackets have the most cap space in the NHL. And the Predators are in the bottom half with $5.37 million in cap space, which is some of these seems negative. How do you go to negative cap space? Oh, well, never mind. Maple Leafs is at the top with 21,000. So they've kind of maxed things out. What the Golden Knights are 8 million over now. I guess they're going to have to rearrange some things. But yeah, so we're not playing any of those teams. Who cares? The Blue Jackets are the lowest in the league, or have or the highest in the league. I don't know how you want to call that, but yeah. So they have the most cap space available. Makes you start to wonder. But they seem to have a pretty decent team last year. They haven't had significant changes. Interesting. They have 13 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 2 goalies on their roster. So I guess that adds up to 22. They can have 23. That kind of, I don't know. I guess it's nothing too much to write home about, but that's what they have. Supposedly they were happy after the draft. They got 6 total picks out of the draft. None of them are on the current roster. They had 2 picks in the first round, a defenseman and a goaltender. And like I said, neither of those are on the current roster. And then during the trade, they did trade with Colorado for forwards Coyle and Wood. Both of those are on the roster. But when I looked up their numbers, they didn't have any numbers that kind of jumped out. So the core of the Blue Jacket team is the same as what they had at the end of last year. And they were playing good hockey at the end of last year. So there's no reason not to expect really good hockey out of them. That's going to be it's going to be an interesting contest for Nashville tonight. Nashville needs to find a way to play together. Hopefully they've been able to do that over the course of the training camp. Obviously last year they never figured it out. And got some new faces on the team. The core of the Preds are also still the same. I'm not talking about the Preds yet, but here I go. So hopefully these guys play a little bit better together. I think in training camp was fun. It was fun seeing Yossi out there. Once he's got POTS, I think that was his diagnosis, which is they thought he had a concussion, thought he had vertigo, but apparently it's this disease, and so he's been struggling with that and found a way to compensate, which is great. Fortunately, he had the time to do it. And there were resources, and so thankfully he's back and seems to be skating well. And he and Haig were skating well together, and now they're not. But anyway, they don't play for Columbus. They don't play for Columbus. You got time. You got plenty of time later to talk about Nashville. We're going to talk about Nashville eventually. Anyway, so. With Colorado, they traded a forward who also had no significant stats for Columbus last year. The 3rd round 2025 draft pick and a conditional 2nd round 2027 draft pick, and that's what they traded for these Coyle and Wood. So those are 2 new faces on the team. Looking at their team compared to last season, they did lose a number of players as unrestricted free agents. It just normally happens. Forward Justin Danforth is now with Buffalo. Sean Corrali, another forward, with Boston. And forward James Van Riemsdyk is with Detroit. So Riemsdyk, I think, was a bigger name. There was another forward, Jack Williams, who I can't find. I'm assuming he's down with the Cleveland Monsters, their AHL team, but I'm not sure because haven't figured that part out. But Cleveland Monsters love that name too, but they're not the Night Monsters. The Tahoe Night Monsters. That's love it. Anyway, again, Tahoe not playing tonight. Moving on. Also going to Boston was defenseman Jordan Harris. And then as far as goaltenders go, Tarasov I meant to look up his first name. Starts with a D. D. Tarasov, traded to Florida for a 5th round 2025 draft pick. Florida and their goalies last year. What a carousel. Spin the wheel. Who's going to play goaltender for Florida? Whee! Hey, worked. It worked. I mean, Stanley Cup champions. Congratulations, Florida. Thank God Edmonton didn't win. Anyway, there's plenty of time later in the season for my Connor McDavid rant, so we'll leave that out today. Gotta save something for the next podcast, right? New players. So those players are no longer skating with the regular team. I just went back to the last game of the season. So apparently Elvis Merzlikins, not added to the team. He was their primary goaltender, did not play in the last game of the year. And the same thing for defenseman Jake Christensen. So they're forwards. The forwards primarily that were not with the team last year was the Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood that trade with Colorado, but they did sign, I guess it's Isaac, I-S-A-C, Isaac Lundestrom, who was unrestricted free agent from Anaheim. And then as far as other things with regards to Columbus, they have 2 players on injured reserve, number 22 right wing Jordan Dumais, who is day-to-day, expected back on October 18th. And then a little more seriously, number 14 defenseman Luca Morelli, who's month-to-month with an expiry of expected date back, not expiry. Gosh, why am I even saying that? That's like the British version of it. It'd be expired. But expected back 12/16. So Dumais and Morelli will not be with the team tonight. And with that, sorry, the voice is a little dry. And with that, let's talk about the Preds. We've talked about the Preds a lot already, so this is probably going to be pretty quick. Oh, who knows? Nothing's that quick with me these days. The Preds summary overall, again, this is the first game of the year. They did seem to have a good training camp. They did sign Evangelista, 2 years, $3 million a year, which good for him. Good player. I don't know how this stuff works. I think that's probably too much. But I guess just looking at the what they're playing everybody else, I mean, he's $3 million, and then Bunting I think is $1 million. So there's like a gap in there on in the forwards, which is fine. I guess the salary cap went up from last year to this year, so everybody's contract is going to be a little bit higher. When you sign up later. They've got Greaves as the starting quarterback. I don't have Greaves as the starting quarterback. That's not sure why Greaves would be starting. But anyway, according to Puckpedia, Greaves is going to be starting tonight. I'm sorry, not Bunting. Bunting is $4.5 million. So you got Forsberg at 8.5, Stamkos at 8, Marchessault at 5.5, O'Reilly at 4.5, Bunting at 4.5, Haula at 3.1, and now you got Evangelista at 3, then Cole Smith at 1, and then everybody else is like league minimums. So, if he plays up to it, great. 2 years, and then he becomes a restricted free agent. Restricted free agent because he's 23, signing it, he'll be 25, so he'll still be a restricted free agent because he's only be 25 at that time. But just for another year, and then he'll be unrestricted free agents after that. But, yeah, for me, that just, that's what they came up with. That's what they signed him for. Good for him. I'd take $3 million a year. Probably if somebody paid me $3 million a year, I would endorse a product I didn't like. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to come out and say it. $3 million, I probably could find a way to like the product, actually, to be honest with you. As far as personnel issues, again, number 71, left wing Matthew Wood, day to day, or as one reporter put it, week to week. Expected back October 11th. So that would be the next game. That would be great, but if he's week to week, if he really was week to week, not expecting him back. I wouldn't expect him back next week. So maybe it's day to day, not sure. But either way, he's not playing tonight. We're talking about tonight's game. Also not playing tonight, number 41 defenseman Nicholas Hague. He's week to week, expected back October 23rd. So we still got a couple more weeks before we see him playing. Big guy. Boy, how big was he? I forget. But yeah, he was out there skating with Yossi. They look good. They look good together. That home stats, that there's no record. I don't think that's the right record for last year. Okay, well that's the Predators update. Later this season, and I'll probably do. I'll try to do a podcast for each game. Again, there's until we get a certain body of games overall, there's not really data to look at. We can start seeing trends. So I'll do. I'm talking about so many other things in this one. When we play Utah on Saturday, I'll do a podcast for that. It'll probably be a lot shorter. You guys will appreciate that. Those of you trying to get a good night's sleep won't. But it'll probably be long enough that you'll never know. You'll be off and and never know that it was a short podcast. And then we got the back-to-back situation next week, which is the first away. So that would be something to talk about. But normally at this time of the podcast, when I've got my first goal stats up here, so I've got what we had last year. The first goal stats were pretty inconclusive, I would say, last year. But, as far as victory goes, because victories were, I do like what Steven Stamkos said. At the beginning of training camp, they asked him about it. He says, there is time to talk about that, but let's talk about that now, and then let's move forward. It's a new season, and let's go. Let's stop talking about last year. Last year's over. It's this year. At home, what have I got? I got 10-9-3 at home. When they get the first goal, and 10-9 when they don't. So they're just really indeterminate there. Second period, 0-2. If the Preds get the first goal and it's in the second period, they didn't win those two games. So, this season, again, I'll be starting talking about that. They were 10-7-3 if they got the first goal in the first period. So, that's handy. It's a nice little stat there. 7-7 if they didn't. All of that's going to be different this year, but that's the kind of data that we'll have later on. The winning by period. Again, the Preds were terrible in the second period. I tried to look. I tried to look that up. I said, "Is there some way I can figure out what teams do to prepare for the long change?" And last year, I did a number of things, and I would go look at other teams and particular stats. Could I find a stat that seemed relevant? And I didn't. I couldn't really find anything that looked consistent. But what I did find consistent is the 8 teams that made it out of the first round of the playoffs were 10 of the best, or 8 of the. We're all in the top 10 with regards to the second period play. So I think we're really to see. Obviously 2 years ago when I first started doing this, the Preds sucked in the second period, and that's why I started collecting all this data. I'm like, am I right? Am I right, or is this just something else people like to complain about because they don't know the answer? And I was right. I came down here, do the analysis. That's why I'm doing this podcast now, because I did all this analysis on that and the relevance of the first goal. I was wrong about the relevance of the first goal, at least as a predictor, which I'm still a little befuddled about. And I think last year wasn't necessarily as big of a deal because the NHL is constantly making changes to make scoring easier. They prefer more offense, more scoring, and the more scoring there is, the less impactful the first goal will be. But 2 years ago, I was wrong. The Preds had like a 3-1 advantage if they got the first goal. They were like 3 times more likely to win than lose. And the opponents, when they did, they were only 2-1. So for the Preds, it really was a big deal. I think it's a strong indicator, and that's kind of what we were looking at. And so I was wrong. It was an indicator. And as far as whether they were good in the second period, they were not. And last year they continued that trend. I think obviously 2 years ago they made the playoffs. They didn't make it out of the first round, but they made the playoffs. So you can make the playoffs and not be one of the better second period teams. But if you want to advance in the playoffs, you're going to have to be good in the second period. I think that is, for those of you new to my podcast, you're going to hear this a lot. Those of you that have been here, you're going to hear it more. This is my rallying cry. The second period. Maybe that's what the theme music should be about. Oh, you second period. I don't know. I work with it. I don't know. My nephew doesn't write songs. His fiance does. Maybe I'll have her write me a song or something about the second period. I don't know, but they got to be better. But anyway, so winning by period, the Preds were decent overall in the first period. They won. They did have a winning record at home in the first period. They had a losing record on the road in the first period, the second period, the third period. At home, they had a losing record in the second period and the third period. The only winning record was in the first. Anyway, and then result correlations. We're not going to talk about that because that's all in the spreadsheet and there's nothing there. Winning goal last year, a little bit different from the other year. But when the Preds win, half the time they score the winning goal in the second period, and that's both. I guess that's on the road. That's not the. This is what I was looking for. But that's not what I'm talking about. Anyway, so, Preds win. Overall, the Preds were about equally scoring the winning goal in the second period or third period. Winning goal being if the final score is 3-2, or actually it's like 3-1, the winning goal is the second goal, not the third goal. So when is the second goal being scored? And for the opponents, 40% of the time they were scoring it in the second period. Last year, the Preds fairly even between the second and third. And overall, the second period was 37% of the time the winning goal was being scored in the second period, which was different from the year before. Whereas, at home, the Preds were scoring the winning goal. I think it was in the second period, and the opponents were scoring it in the third. But that was the kind of, again, some of the data from last season. Last year also started doing the evaluation based upon whether the home team won or the opposition won, and 42% the opposition wins would get the winning goal in the second period. And so that's whether it's the Preds on the road getting the winning goal or the opponents here in Nashville getting the winning goal 42% of the time, the opponents, the visiting team, would get the winning goal in the second period last year, which is kind of surprising. A third of the time, the home team would get the winning goal in the second period for an overall 37%. So again, more than a third of the time last season, we'll get these statistics for this year. And that was a little bit of a change from the previous year. So not sure whether that's indicative of just the way the different landscape in the NHL or just because the Preds were so bad. But I guess we'll see this year because the Preds are going to be good. Preds are going to go to the playoffs. And so we'll have a whole different body of data to compare to. And we can take a look at how that compares to the data from 2 years ago and from last year and kind of see how things evolved over time. Like I said, do not listen to this podcast while operating heavy machinery. Consult your doctor. We've got a number of things that we're going to be looking at this year. And this is the third year I've been doing this. So I've got 2 years of data to look back on and go, hey, here's this obtuse fact. Right. And so then goal scoring, and that was just too depressing to talk about. I'm going to skip that. So, empty nets were included for the year before last. Last year, I split out the empty nets. Oh, right. I can update this. Yeah, so, look at trends in scoring on the road. On the road when the Preds win, on the road when they lose, at home, same thing. Overall, lots of data. Okay, so speaking of data, so the next thing I would do here is what I'm going to do now, is matchups. We have Columbus Blue Jackets coming to town. And what were they like last year? Well, I didn't remember. It didn't jump out to me that Columbus was that good last year. I guess I'm kind of used to them being in the bottom, which is where Nashville was. So somebody's got to, if Nashville's going to take that spot, somebody's got to jump up and be take up the spot that Nashville would. But they were fourth in the NHL in scoring in the second period. Now, they were fifth in the NHL in giving up goals in the second period, and Nashville was third. So Nashville, the second period, both of these teams give up last year gave up a lot of goals in the second period. But as far as goal scoring goes, Columbus was 8th in the NHL last year. Nashville was 31st, but they were 9th in the first, 4th in the second, and 14th in the third. So, yeah, and they've got their core back. So I'm assuming the Nashville or Columbus is going to be another really good offensive team this year. So I think we can look. For that, and I really expect every number of the Preds to be better this year. So there you go. But is there any reason to expect them to be any better defensively? I don't know. Then I guess time will tell whether they're better defensively or not, because I think Nashville's going to be a really good offensive team this year. And then hopefully they still are just as good on the power play and, slightly better in defense. But the offensive production definitely needs to jump up. But so that's kind of where they were at last year. And just as far as the second period goes, Columbus was fifth and Nashville was third in being scored against. Well, that's 2 goals. Columbus gave up 100 goals last year in the second period, and Nashville gave up 102. Both teams gave up 69 in the first. And the third period, fairly close again, 90 and 95. So as far as, 6th and 8th goals against, Preds being 6th, and Columbus being 8th. So Columbus was 8th in scoring and 8th in being scored on. So I guess what you take away from that is that when Columbus plays, there's going to be goal scoring, at least last year. At least last year. Again, last year on the penalty kill, Columbus was the lower half. You can't say there weren't any good. 77%, 50 goals against on 217 opportunities, which was the 20th amount. So this one thing about the penalty situations was Columbus was 32nd in the league in power play opportunities and 20th in being in penalty kill situations. So their games were some of the least penalized. So there wasn't a lot. I mean, they gave up a lot of goals, 50 goals, which was 5 more than the Preds did last season. But the Preds had 26 more opportunities, which, again, Nashville was 7th in the league in penalty kill opportunities. So they were 7th in the league in being shorthanded. And that is something, and that was really bad, I think, at the beginning of the season. Stamkos wound up in committing penalties more than any time else in his career, if I remember correctly. I think overall the Preds just took too many penalties last year. So hopefully that number can come down. But they were 7th in the league in penalty kill, 81%. So that was good. They only scored 1 goal shorthanded last year, which was the lowest number in the NHL. Columbus did score 9, which is 9th. So they didn't have so I guess they actually come out on head. If you take the number of goals against and subtract out shorthanded, that would be 41 for them versus 44 for the Preds. But that's another interesting calculation to go through. But 9 shorthanded goals on 217 opportunities. On the power play, the teams were close. Nashville was 18th in the league, Columbus 22nd. Nashville 21.9% to 19.5% for Columbus. Again, Columbus had significantly less opportunities, 43 less opportunities, which is somewhere between 20 and 25%. They only had 185 opportunities on the power play, scored on 36 of them, and also gave up 7 shorthanded goal, which was 16th. So it was the top half of the league, but 7, I guess, not awful. The Preds only gave up 5 shorthanded goals last year. They did score 50 goals on 228 opportunities. So contrary to games with Columbus, Nashville not the most penalized team, obviously, but way more than Columbus. All right, so let's move on to the goaltenders. Oh, this is cut and paste, not cut and paste, just lack of attention to detail. Columbus has 2 goaltenders. I got more than that, but anyway. Columbus's goaltenders, Elvis Merzlikins was 26, 21, and 5 last year. Jet Greaves was 7, 2, and 2. First game of the year, so 0-0-0 for everybody. Last year in the win here in Nashville, Tarasov, who was traded to Florida, was in that game. That game was won by Nashville in overtime. So Columbus lost 3-4 in that one. At that time, Columbus was alternating wins and losses. So the first 8 games were wins and losses. And so this one happened to be a loss. And then I think they won 2 in a row. The 8th and 9th games were both wins. So they started off the season kind of alternating things. And then in the second game, which was in April of last year, Columbus did win 8-4 in Columbus. And Merzlikins was the goaltender there. And After that win, they did lose 3 in a row, but then won the last 6 of the year, again, missing out by 2 points to Montreal. And so they did make a run. They had a chance, but they were the last team that was eliminated from playoff contention. Merzlikins has got to be the starting goaltender, primary goaltender. I would say it has to be Merzlikins in goal, but that's not what I just saw online. They say Greaves is going to be in goal tonight. There you go. I guess we'll see. I don't know why Greaves would be starting. It doesn't make sense to me that he would be starting because the Eichel got an extension. Yes, I saw that earlier. Thank you for distracting me. But yeah, I don't know. Merzlikins is their primary goaltender. 31, catches left-handed, $5.4 million contract. What that is, modified no trade clause. Jet Greaves, 24, $813K, if I remember right. That's entry-level contract. He's Group 6 unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. But hey, why not? Noonan played in the first goal last year, but that's because Saros was injured. I don't see anything on here about Merzlikins being injured. Damon Hunt was waived by Columbus, and he was claimed by Minnesota. So I did blah. Don't know. Depth chart. Is there something I'm missing? I don't think so. Lineup. What is their lineup? Injured reserve, press box, power play, special teams. How about goaltenders? Well, whatever. Left wing, right wing, center. Anyway, that's what they say. And in the press box will be Chinikov and Christensen. All right. That sounds awesome. And I don't know. I don't see a reason why Merzlikins wouldn't be starting tonight. But that's what Puckpedia is reporting. So I guess we'll see. So that's Columbus. For Nashville, we've got UC Saros and Justice Noonan. Saros, it's just too depressing. They played last year. They have records from last year. It's no longer last year. Who cares what they did last year? Because we are no longer in last year. Last year, we don't care what happened last year. But last year in the first game, Wedgwood was in goal. Wedgwood was in goal for the 4-3 win early in the season. It was the last of a 3-game winning streak after losing the first 5 games, so it was the 8th game of the year. Saros was in goal in April, the 4-8 shellacking by Columbus. That was for Nashville. It was the 4th game of a 6-game losing streak. And Puckpedia agrees with me here. Saros is a starting and primary goaltender. So I've got Saros in goal. All right. Let's, who to watch? All right, so for your Columbus Blue Jackets, we got number 86 right wing Kirill Marchenko. All right, Kirill Marchenko, number 86. 86. Last year he was first in goals. Actually, he was tied with number 19 center Adam Fantilli. Both of those guys had 31 goals. The problem, I guess, kind of a problem. That's not great. But Fantilli, his deal is that he was third on the team in shooting percentage at 16%. 16% is not fantastic, but he was third on the team in shooting, and he has 31 goals. So his shooting percentage was 16% on 191 shots. So I wouldn't say his shot is dangerous. Not nearly so much as Kent Johnson, number 19 center Kent Johnson, who third in points, third in goal, fourth in assists. His shooting percentage last year was 19.5%, led the Blue Jackets. 19.5%. Anything over 20 is exceptional, especially over the course of a season, and 19.5%. So I think, Kent Johnson's shot, number 91 center, you need to watch out for. What do they have? Oh, they got Johnson on the third line playing left wing. He's listed as a center, but how that fluctuates. Marchenko, you're kidding. Oh, Marchenko's playing right wing. Oh yeah, right wing, with Monahan and Voronkov. Okay, so Sillinger and Fantilli and Jenner, Johnson, Coyle, and Olivier. And then Anson, Reeds, Lundestrom, and Wood. Fabro, and I thought Fabro was out. Okay. Oh, got it. Oh, defense, right? Fabro on defense. Ex Nashville Predator. Oh yeah, they got Greaves listed first over Merzlikins. I guess Greaves. They think Greaves is starting. Okay. Again, I guess we'll see. But then the other guy to look out for, number 8 defenseman Zach Werenski. He's fourth in goals. So but first in assists. So Werenski, I guess he is top line with Fabro. Number 8, he's first on the team in shooting. His shooting percentage not great, so he's kind of a playmaker. He is first in the team in points with 82 last year. Second was 74, so significantly different. Primarily in assists, 59 assists last year, which was first, which was more than the number of assists for the Preds, but they did score more goals, so a little hard to contend there. So number 86 right wing, Marchenko, number 19 Fantilli, and number 91 Johnson would be your forwards to look out for, and then number 8 Werenski. I did note that number 24 right wing Matthew Olivier, last year he had 139 penalties in minutes, which was second in the NHL, second to Boston's Zadorov, who had 145 penalties in minutes, 139. I went back and I looked and said, okay, how did that happen? But it just looks like he takes penalties. He had 2 games with 2 fights in them. So, that's 10, and then, probably a rough. So 12, I think it was 14, wound up getting 14 penalty minutes in that game. But in general, it wasn't like he had, last year when I was looking at some of these people, they'd have like 30 penalty minutes in one game, and that wasn't the case. He just had a lot of games where he got penalties in, and probably half the games he played in, he would get a penalty. So I guess number 24, right wing Matthew Olivier, who they've got him on the third line with Coyle and Johnson. He's most likely to take a penalty. I guess would be the most thing to note there. So 1991, 86, 8, and 24. Those would be the 5 people to watch. Again, Johnson's shot, number 91. That would be the thing I would look out for is for Johnson's shot. They got him on the third line with Olivier. Go figure. But the hockey is such a great game. It's so fluid. You got people on the ice, new people coming on the ice all the time. It's so much fun. Anyway, So those were the people to watch for the Columbus Blue Jackets. For your Nashville Predators, number 9, left wing Philip Forsberg, first in everything, first in your hearts, number 9 on your scorecard, number 1 in your heart. Reference to the movie The Replacements. Number Falco. Falco. Was Falco number 9? I don't think so. Maybe he was. I don't know. But anyway. Forsberg, number 1 in your hearts. Number 1 in goals. Number 1 in assists. Number 1 in points. Number 1 in shots. There you go. Then you get number 91. It's kind of easy with the Preds. Number 9, number 91, number 81, number 90. So, if there's a 9, basically, I think this is still correct. Last year, I would say if there's a 9 in their number, then pay attention. I think that's still going to be the case. I don't know if there's anybody else on the team that has a 9. You got Stamkos, Weisblatt. I guess no, that's a brother. Is I don't know how to say his name. Weisblatt. He's 97, but he's down in Milwaukee. So is there anybody else with a 9 in their number that I might have missed? Yossi's 59. Definitely got to watch him. So yeah, I think Justice and Nuno. He's in goal. I'd be watching him anyway. Yeah. So for the Preds, if there's a 9 in the number, or if it's divisible by 9. There you go. Got to do some quick math while you're watching this game. Number 81, Marchessault, divisible by 9. And 76, Brady Skay. Anyway, so those guys were all at the bottom of the barrel with regards to plus minus last year. Stamkos led the team at minus 36. And then it just, but that's kind of how the season went last year. Anyway, but Stamkos was third on the team in shooting percentage, and that was at 15.5%. The two people ahead of him, one was only with the team, but both of the guys were only with the team for 15 games. One at the beginning, one at the end. Parsonen at the beginning, Osterley at the end. So Stamkos really, for players that were with the team all season, had the highest shooting percentage at 15.5%. Not exceptional. 174 shots. Third on the team. Marchessault and Forsberg. Marchessault second. Forsberg first. But maybe that'll be a little bit different this year. Stamkos was second in goals, fifth in assists, so it was 13 points. Marchessault third in goals, second in assists, so second in points. And then Ryan O'Reilly, third across the board. Third in goals, third in assists, third in points, but fourth in time on ice. So he's a forward. He is the forward that you'll see on the ice the most. 18, almost 19 minutes last season. And three people above him were all defensemen, including Roman Josi, who's on the ice for the most, 25.08. And I think if I remember right, Josi was in the top 10. Zach Werenski, defenseman Werenski, on the ice for 26.44 last year, which was I think he was like second in the NHL, somewhere around there in time on ice, and I think Josi was 8th. So those guys are going to be on the ice a lot, 59 and 8, the defensemen. And but anyway, so as far as shooting percentage for the Preds, nobody had really great shooting percentage last year, 15.5 for Stamkos, which I think is actually kind of exciting because, now it's like, okay, so Stamkos had the best. Now he's had a year. We've had training camp. We're going to get out there. Stamkos is a scorer. I'm excited. I think he had that last year and was third on the team in shooting. So let's look forward to that. Yeah, and as far as the players that got added, again, I got no notable stats, and then after doing that, normally I'd talk about momentum, but what momentum? both teams coming out of training camp, so they're both feeling good. Players are rested. Unfortunately, both teams have two guys on injured reserve. But team's ready to play, excited to get on the ice. Should be a good game tonight. Go Preds. Bridgestone Arena, 7 o'clock, right? Because they kind of moved things around last year. Got kind of a little crazy with some games. But 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock puck drop. There's a players walk. I think it's at 3:30. I forget. Preds Fest. So if you're going to the game, it's at 7 o'clock. Puck drop probably 7:10, frankly. But Preds walk earlier. I think that's at 3:30. So a bunch of things going to be going on down there around the stadium. Of course, we got all those great restaurants down there. After the game, drop by Legends. Say hi to my nephew playing drums and his fiancée singing. And tip. Those bars don't pay the bands very much, so they rely on tips. Going to a Preds game, you're in town, got to go to a Preds game, got to go see some bands play. Got some good bands down on Broadway. Got a couple bad ones, but they don't get paid a lot, so they're there to entertain you, and they make most of their money by tips. The bands don't. Most of the bars do not charge entry fees, but the food and drink prices are a little steep. I'll say that. Unfortunately, I think that kind of gets in the way of people tipping the band, but please try to remember to tip the band. My soon-to-be niece would be upset with me if I don't say anything, because I think that's half of her Facebook feed. But anyway, so it's Broadway Talk. Welcome to Broadway Talk. This is Buster Talkinen. We're doing Broadway Talk. No, Preds Proclivity. Yeah. So anyway, Preds starting the season, the 25-26 season. Tonight, 7 o'clock, Bridgestone Arena, playing the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's go, Preds. New season, new attitude, new record. Let's go. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm Preston Proctor. You've been listening to Predators Proclivity.